So hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk Idle, Idling to Rule the Gods. So this is an idle game that I found on Steam quite a while ago, and I've played it for about, let's say like 2 weeks or so, or maybe like 3 weeks. And this is one of those idle games that has a ton of stuff to it. Like we're talking like really a ton. So even after 2 weeks, I'm still in only like the mid game, if you would call it that. So basically what this game is about, you play as a god or a goddess or whatever, and you want to try and defeat all of the other gods. How you do that is you train by creating like shadow clones of yourself, and then those shadow clones will go off and do various training tasks. Like there's a ton of these here, but all they really do is they train you in one aspect, in which case this one is physical. So all of these just give me a bonus to physical, which is pretty much attack for the most part. And then you also have skills in here, which is the same thing, but it trains my mystic, which is, I think, my defense or something. And with attack and defense, that's how you fight stuff. So you can also put clones on fighting enemies. And the more enemies you fight, the more points you get in battle, which also makes you more powerful in attack and mystic, I think. And I think it also gives you divinity. Yeah, it says here. You also get divinity, which you can use to buy stuff. What sort of stuff? Well, you can also build stuff. Apart from your shadow clones that you're building all the time to do stuff for you. By the way, if your clones do something like fight an enemy or train in physical or mystic, then you also get those stats. So the clones increase your stats for you. So apart from those shadow clones, you can also build other stuff like light, stone, soil, and then it gets more complicated to building entire forests, villages, towns, and so on. And you can also see that, for example, to create a town, you need 250,000 stone, 10,000 plants, 5,000 human, one river. So in order to build something complicated, you need a lot of these stuff before it. But it's okay because you can buy this stuff for divinity, and I think that's what, for the most part, divinity is for. So already we have quite a lot of stuff going on. We have clones training our skills, we have clones fighting for us, and if we're powerful enough, we ourselves can use those stats to try and fight a boss, which usually doesn't end very well unless you have a lot of stats. So if you fight and kill gods, what you basically unlock is just more stuff to build. And that's basically your goal. You unlock more stuff to build. You can also build special buildings called monuments. If you got enough monuments, like really cool monuments, you get to unlock this, which I've never done even after multiple weeks of playing. If you defeat a certain god, you even get to unlock this menu, which I don't know what it does. So I mean, I was usually when I make a review for an idle game, I have time offline, 120 days. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff has happened, you know. Anyway, so yeah, usually when I make a review for an idle game, I'm like usually around the end game. But there's some idle games like this where getting to the end game like takes a really long time. We're talking about multiple months. And at that point, I'm like, do I want to invest multiple months for this review? And then I'm like, okay, maybe we can get enough of, I can get enough of a review together with just the mid-game stuff. Because if I want to tell you if you should play this game or not, I don't want to be in like 5 months and then tell you, oh, after 5 months it gets interesting, because that would be really bad to play a game for 5 months until it gets interesting. It should be interesting all the way. So let's just cling to what I would call the basics of like the training, your aspects, and then the fighting, because this is what makes the majority of the game. You have a lot of other stuff going on as well that you unlock at an earlier point. For example, if you unlock all the stuff in here, you get to unlock this tab, the Might tab, and all that does is it allows you to specialize a lot more. So you can put clones here as well, and they will train in more specialized stuff like, oh, train your physical HP here, and the more you have of might, it also gives you a global multiplier to just everything. So that's a really nice thing, and you also get to use some skills. And basically what you do with those skills is when you fight a god, you unleash might, which basically it's just one button that allows you to use every single skill that you have in your Might tab at once. You see them running out right now. Apart from that, I don't really see any point to the singular ones. Like, I'm not, because you just wait, like, let's say an hour for all the skills to come back, and then you use all of them at once. I don't see why you would want to use, like, individual ones. Like, let's say I only want to use focus breathing. I don't even know what it does. Increases HP recovery, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really want to do that alone. Like you see, they all have the same cooldown, so let's just wait an entire hour and then use all of them at once. That's way more powerful. So yeah. Then you also have this thing, which you need to defeat the final boss for it, which I have no idea what that does. So, and then of course you have a lot of statistics, some settings to play around with, like you can change the window color and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Then you can also read up on some story if you want to. Most importantly, though, if we want to stay at the core gameplay, every time you defeat a powerful god, and what is classified as a powerful god changes depending on how many gods you've killed. Let's say you've killed 20 gods, and maybe like the only last 5 count as like powerful gods. So only those 5 will actually give you this thing right here, the god power. And what god power does is you can like freely allocate your god power to various stats. But most importantly, once you have a bunch of them, you can trade them all in. Or let's say like here, you can trade 10 of them in for a permanent 35% boost for creating. Creating is pretty important because creating is what gives you your clones. So I really like creating. Of course, you could also stock up on a ton of them and then go for battle, stuff like that. But I don't really care about that. And of course, if it's an idle game with that much stuff to it, it also has stuff for you to buy with real money. Like actually a lot of stuff to buy. You can buy god power, lucky draws, daily packs, pet token, and so on. So yeah, pets, what are pets? Pets are usually the thing that I never really care about, because pets are usually the thing that you do when you have a lot of money, because you also have to buy food for them, and I think that also, yeah, it costs god power, which you really don't want to spend on food. So, but, you know, since you can also get god power with money, you might as well just buy them with money, you know? And so you get one pet for free. The other pets, like even the second pet allows you, requires you to kill the final boss. So, okay. So we're not getting any of these anytime soon. But we have a mouse, and what does the mouse do? It fights random stuff. You can also create clones. Like every time you click any button in this game, an entire new menu comes up with all of this stuff in it. And it's actually very off-putting. It's actually very off-putting, I have to say. This game has a ton of depth to it, and if you want to have an idle game that you can really get into and dig down into it, this is the one. Though I'm not 100% sure if I can recommend it on those terms. Because if you get put off by anything in here, like let's say you start the game and you're like, oh my god, there's so much stuff to it, then yeah, it doesn't really get that much easier the more you get into it, because every time because when I start this game after like 2 days, I was like, okay, training, fighting, stuff like that, here, building, I got it, I got the hang of it. And then I unlocked like pets and divinity stuff and might. And there's another special tab in here that does random stuff that you don't really care about, just put it in an auto. You just keep unlocking stuff, and every time you unlock more stuff, it's like, okay, now there's an entire new giant system with all this different stuff to it. But I guess the last thing that I want to talk about that's actually part of the like core game that you have from the start is the Rebirth. Basically what this does is it's the reset. Every idle game has to have a reset. And with this reset also looks fairly weird at the start. You just hover over it and it says then it's green. If it's green, it's good. If it's red, and I really would have liked like 2 or 3 more lines to actually tell you how this works. And that would have been dandy, but you know, the thing is, this works in that you have a multiplier that's your current multiplier. Like for this run, your left lumbus here is your current multiplier. And then the right column is the multiplier that you will have after reset. And what happens is every time you get an achievement in here, as you can see, every time you get an achievement for doing stuff like doing stuff in training and fighting, stuff like that, you can go to different tabs. You can see A lot of these have achievements to it. And every time you get an achievement, you end up getting a higher multiplier. So what you actually want to do is just get a lot of everything. Like I stop here at 13,000. There's a thing up here that does that. Anyway, so you want to get up to a certain number over here. You want to fight a certain number of these and go to the hard ones. You want to fight certain gods, stuff like that. You just want to make sure that you're saturating a lot of these. I usually don't go in here and I'm like, oh, what do I have to do? I usually just remember like, okay, 10,000 is the number that I need. And in order to get to the final level, I need 13,500. So let's just do that or something. I don't know. You just kind of figure stuff out as you go. And once you kind of streamline the whole thing, you can get a really good modifier in like 1 or 2 days. And once you have a green everywhere, green basically just means that the future modifier is bigger than your current modifier, which means that if you reset, you're gaining something. And this is why you want to for everything to be green, because you want to be strong in every single aspect of your stats. You want all your stats to be more powerful the next time you play through it. Obviously, you have some other stuff in here, like settings, who cares? You can do some other stuff in here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't really care too much. Mostly because I have to say the art is not that good, which is probably why this is the only piece of art in the entire thing. Yeah, I mean, if you know that your art is not that good, it's okay. I mean, you don't, this thing doesn't probably need art. So there's so much to it. There's so much complexity, so much depth. Even after playing weeks and months and everything, there's still so much more to do. And now I have to say, now I have to tell you if this game is worth it or not. I'd say it's a hard one. I usually, even if I don't like an idle game, I'd say just give it a look, give it a try, and see if it's for you. And I'll say the same thing for this one. Just give it a try, see what happens. Maybe you can get really into it. Maybe you can really dig your teeth into it and get really down towards the nitty gritty stuff and have a great time with it. I don't know. But if you're someone who plays a lot of idle games, a lot of different idle games, who like to have maybe some more fun interaction stuff like that, and you don't like Excel sheets worth of stuff, then I really wouldn't suggest this game. And spoiler alerts, as soon as I'm done with this review, I'm not playing this game again, even though there's still so much more to it, because it's draining after a while and it gets boring after a while, at least for me. Maybe if you just want to have this game running in the background while you do other stuff for like weeks, I think you might have a great time with this one. So yeah, just see if it's for you. Check it out. That has been me with Idling to Rule the Gods. That was a really long video. How long was that? Let me check. 13 minutes. That must be my longest one yet. Anyway, that was that. See you guys next time.